Hello, flower family. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Pam, and I love all things art making, specifically heavy texture paint where I use pastry bags and piping tips to create my art. In today's video, I'm taking you along with me for not just one, but 4 different art markets. You'll see how everything came together, a few behind the scene moments, and what it's really like selling textured art in person. If you saw my last video, you know I spent a lot of time prepping art pieces, organizing supplies, and sharing some of my favorite texture techniques. Now it's time to see all that hard work in action. So let's kick things off with the first market of the season. Our first stop on this art market journey is Garland, Texas, and this one holds a special place in my heart. It's actually my second time attending, and so far it's been my absolute favorite. The atmosphere here is always so welcoming, the crowds are great, and it just feels like a perfect fit for my art. As beautiful as the day was, it was so windy, and that definitely made setup a bit tricky, as you can see. We spent a good chunk of time chasing down displays, readjusting stands, and doing a lot of strategic bungeeing and weighing. But hey, that's outdoor markets for you, unpredictable and always an adventure. We got to the market bright and early, and as always, I had that familiar mix of excitement and also some nerves. I think setting up is one of those behind the scene parts that not many people see, so here's a little peek at how the booth came together, from unpacking to troubleshooting, and trust me, the wind kept us on our toes. To elevate my art and make the booth more visually dynamic, I like using display pieces that lift the work off the table. I think by creating layers, it draws the eye in. A lot of these display pieces were actually thrifted or handmade, which just goes to show you that you don't have to spend a ton when you're first starting out. Get creative with what you have. Crate boxes or even old shelves can work beautifully with just a little vision. Once the displays were in place, we moved on to hanging the artwork. I wish I had a solid strategy to share, but honestly, it's a little different every time. I tend to go with my gut in the moment and adjust as I go. One thing I do try to be intentional about is placing the larger, bright, bold pieces right up front. They're great for catching someone's eye from a distance and hopefully drawing them into the booth. As we were setting up, a group of ladies stopped by, and to my surprise, they remembered me from last year. Moments like this truly mean so much. It's those little connections that make doing these markets so special. It reminds me that my art left an impression, and that keeps me inspired. Did you all catch that? And of course, my mom, being the natural saleswoman she is, made sure to tell them to stop by again later. She is truly the best hype woman. And just like that, right after that sweet little encounter, my entire display wall came crashing down. Thankfully, nothing was damaged, just my pride a little. But honestly, what stood out most was how many kind people rushed over to check on us and offer help. It was such a reminder of the supportive energy at these markets. Even in the midst of a mess, there's always kindness. After taking a moment to regroup and rethink the setup, we finally found a better, sturdier spot for the display wall. One that could actually hold up against the wind this time. Once that was in place, we started rearranging the artwork, one piece at a time. It wasn't the smoothest start, but we made it work. And honestly, those unexpected challenges always seem to make the day more memorable. As we were still setting up and trying to recover from the display wall fiasco, people began stopping by. And to my surprise, some even started shopping before we were fully finished. I was still hanging artwork, shifting things around, and figuring out where everything would go. But that early interest meant so much. It reminded me that even when things feel a little chaotic behind the scenes, the energy of the day can shift in a beautiful way. There's just something about those early market moments when people are curious, asking questions, connecting with the art, that really sets the tone for the whole day. It gave me that extra boost of motivation to shake off the stress and lean into the joy of being there. Once everything was finally in place, the walls secured, the artwork hung, and our nerves calmed, we really started to get into the groove. The booth felt full of energy, and it was so fun connecting with customers, hearing their reactions, and watching people fall in love with the pieces in person. One of my favorite things, besides sharing my own work, is getting to see all the other incredible vendors and small businesses. From handmade goods to fresh baked treats, there's always something inspiring around every corner. It's such a supportive community, and walking through it reminds me of why I love being a part of these events so much. Before we knew it, the day flew by and the market was over. Despite the windy start and a few unexpected moments, it ended up being such a great day. I left feeling grateful, inspired, and a little tired in the best way. Now, on to the next. Our second market takes us to Coppell, Texas. Originally, this one was supposed to be outdoors, but due to some unexpected weather, they moved it inside, which was definitely a relief, but also meant a little bit of a shift in setup. This was our first time vending at this market, and honestly, we didn't know what to expect. However, the organizers were super kind and provided a table and chairs, which was a huge help. But when we got there, I quickly realized I forgot my longer tablecloth. So, like any good market day, I had to improvise and make do with what I had. Not ideal, but part of the fun, right? We ended up using a lot of the same display pieces from the last market, but adjusted everything to fit on one table. It was definitely a bit of a tighter setup, which meant I couldn't put all the artwork out, but honestly, that was okay. Sometimes less is more, and it gave me a chance to be really intentional about what I featured. Plus, it made the space feel clean and focused, even if it wasn't what I originally envisioned. For those of you looking for an easy way to transport your artwork, I use these strawberry cardboard crates from Costco. They're perfect for storing my pieces flat. They interlock for easy stacking, and the best part, they're totally free. Honestly, they've become a bit of a conversation starter too. I must always get someone asking if I sell strawberries on the side. It's little things like this that make market days extra fun. As you can see, we just kept going, setting things up and figuring it out as we went, deciding where everything should go, what pieces to feature, and how to make the most of the space we had. It was definitely a bit of trial and error, but that's pretty normal for market days. Every space is different, and you just have to stay flexible and work with what you've got. Once everything was finally in place, it felt really good to take a step back and see it all come together, especially after improvising the setup. It may not have been exactly what I pictured, but it still felt like me, and I think that's what matters most. The market itself started off a little slow, and sometimes that just happens. Some markets we do really well at, and others, well, not so much. It's all part of the journey, but even on the quieter days, there's always something meaningful. And this time it was the people. I met so many kind, supportive, and inspiring vendors who made the day feel worthwhile in a whole different way. Before we left for the day and packed up, Mom took a little stroll through the market to share some of the creative energy and amazing small businesses that filled the space. And just like that, the Coppell market came to a close. It may not have been the busiest or most profitable day, but it was full of unexpected moments, new connections, and creative conversations that made it totally worth it. Every market teaches me something, whether it's how to pivot a setup, connect with a stranger, or just embrace the slower pace. I'm leaving this one with a full heart, a few lessons, and even more excitement for what's next. Before we dive into the next market, I thought it'd be a perfect time to slow things down and take you behind the scenes again. This part of the process is a little quieter, just me in the studio, assembling some of my floral bouquet paintings. It's a nice pause between all the hustle of the markets and honestly, one of my most favorite parts of creating. I love being able to step back into the calm of the studio where it's just me, my tools, and the paint. There's something really grounding about building each bouquet layer by layer. It gives me the space to think, reflect, and reconnect with why I started making this kind of art in the first place. One of the most common questions I get is about the tools I use, and believe it or not, most of them are actually from the baking aisle. These are standard piping tips you normally use for decorating cupcakes or cakes, but I repurpose them to create dimensional petals, leaves, and even those tiny bud details you'll see throughout my work. I use different tips depending on the effect I'm going for. Some can create a more ruffled look, and others give you a clean, more structured petal. It took a lot of experimenting to figure out what works best for each flower type, and I'm even now still discovering new combinations. Before I even got to this point with piping paint, I spent a lot of time experimenting. I didn't have any formal training in cake decorating or baking, I just started playing around. I practiced over and over and over again, tried out different materials, and honestly watched a ton of YouTube tutorials to get the feel for what was possible. There were plenty of fails along the way, but with every try, I learned something new. That's when I started to understand how much of this technique depends on consistency, not just in practice, but in the paint itself. When it comes to paint, I now primarily use Gaffrey art materials. Their heavy-bodied acrylics are designed specifically for sculptural work, and they're perfect for this kind of textured art. The consistency is thick, vibrant, and holds shape beautifully, which is exactly what I need for piping detailed floral designs. But when I first started out, I didn't have access to specialized products like that. I actually used Golden's high solid gel medium mixed with regular acrylic paint. It was a great way to experiment without investing too much up front. The gel gives body and texture to the paint, and you can customize it depending on how much dimension you want to create. If you've ever wondered how I pipe these designs, what tools I use, or even what inspires the colors and shapes, now's the perfect time to ask. I would love to hear your questions, whether they're about the art process, market prep, or even what goes into planning a display. Leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them there or in a future video. After spending some peaceful time in the studio finishing up those florals, it was time to head to the next art market. This one took place in Lewisville, Texas. Like Coppell, it was my first time attending this particular event, and also one I had to do completely solo. No helpers this time around, which definitely made the day a little more challenging, but also rewarding in its own way. By now, I had a solid system in place for setting up and unpacking, so I felt pretty confident going in. However, each market has its own atmosphere, and I was really excited to see what this one had in store. The day felt a little bit longer than usual, probably because I was vending solo this time without anyone to chat with during those slower moments. Thankfully, a sweet friend of mine, Bree, stopped by to say hello and even picked up one of my fake cake magnets. If you're watching, Bree, thank you so much. You made my day. After that sweet visit, the rest of the day moved along pretty quietly. It wasn't my busiest market, but every event is a chance to connect and learn, and I'm always grateful for that. And here's a look at my final spring market of the year, held in Flower Mound, Texas. This was my second time at this particular event, and since it was one of my best markets last year, I was really looking forward to seeing how things would unfold this time around. The biggest highlight of the day is recruiting my husband for setup duty, and he definitely kept things entertaining. He's the kind of person who always brings the laughs, and his energy helped make the day feel way less stressful and a lot more fun. Having him there truly made the whole experience even more memorable. Laughter, support, and all. It was one of those days that reminded me why I love doing this. All in all, it was a perfect way to end my spring market season. A beautiful day, a great crowd, and some special company by my side. Every market teaches me something new, and I'm so grateful for each opportunity to share my art and connect with others. So thank you for following along on this journey. Whether you've been here since the beginning or just found my channel, your support truly means the world to me. If you like watching behind the scene videos, please don't forget to check out my last video if you want to see all the prep that went into these events. And if you have any questions about markets, textured art, or anything in between, drop them in the comments. I love chatting with you. Also, if this video brought a little inspiration or a smile your way, please go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, and tap that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks again so much for being here. Until next time. Bye!